Morning all. All right, news and preview time. Again, I was putting together a news video last night, so I've updated a couple of things on the board. I actually took one off because something happened today. But we're going to discuss some news. We're also going to take a look at tonight's action. There are 5 games on the schedule for tonight, just 9 tomorrow. Again, it's a more balanced schedule. I really kind of wish the NHL would do the schedule like this all the time. Anyway, starting at the top of the board, yesterday, Jesper Boqvist sticking around with Florida, 2-year extension, $1.5 million per season being the cap hit. Florida Panthers making some moves, so I'll skip down the board because they've also acquired Vanecek from San Jose. With them trading out night, they wanted to get another goaltender. They've got Vanecek. He's on an expiring contract. Going to San Jose, 25-year-old right winger Patrick Giles, who'd played 9 games for Florida this season without recording a point. So San Jose picks up a player for a goaltender that wasn't going to be sticking around after this season anyways, and it gives Askarov a chance to come up and play some before the season's done. So I think San Jose did pretty well, getting an asset in return for Vanecek, who once again was not going to be in their plans for next year anyways. 2 guys on waivers currently, and we'll find out in about 40 minutes time if either of them are claimed. I don't think it's going to happen this close to the deadline. Cam Atkinson and Logan Brown both put on waivers by the Tampa Bay Lightning. Been a while since we've talked about Logan Brown on the channel. He's had a couple of good little runs during his career at the NHL level, but it in general has not been what was expected when he was originally drafted. Trent Frederick is at least a couple of weeks away in all likelihood in terms of his debut for the Edmonton Oilers. Yesterday was his first day where he was not wearing a walking boot. So something to keep an eye on, so now he can get out on his skates and work towards a return/debut for the Edmonton Oilers. Scott Laughton may very well end up being on the move. A lot of teams calling Philadelphia apparently about Laughton. I think Drager reported there were at least 8 that were in on Scott Laughton, which really wouldn't surprise me. I would think Philadelphia pretty open to business right now. The loss last night against Calgary. As we get closer to the deadline, every game becomes more important. Could lead GMs towards saying, you know what, we're just going to change things up. For instance, yesterday, Utah's general manager saying, yeah, these guys have earned a right to stay together, and so he's not selling at the deadline, which is, I think, the right message for that Utah hockey club. I think they've played well enough and got close enough to the playoff line that, yeah, they have every right to stick around and keep that group together. A fine was given out today. You guys can let me know your thoughts. So Sheldon Keefe, when Jack Hughes took the hit that may have ended his season, well, took the hit's the wrong way of putting it. He got tangled up along the boards. Was an ugly play, but Keefe wasn't happy that there wasn't a call on the play. And so he has been fined $25,000 for, quote, unprofessional conduct directed at the officials. So he said something. There was something said there that ended up getting him fined $25,000. So for Sheldon Keefe, I understand his frustration though, and I think he'll consider it probably good money spent because his top forward was injured and could be out for the season, and he was upset in the moment. So, these things do happen. I was honestly kind of surprised at the time they threw him out of the game, considering the circumstances and him understandably being frustrated, but I guess he said something that crossed the line, and it's cost $25,000. Apparently, Jordan Greenway is closing in on an extension with Buffalo. Puckpedia is reporting that it's going to be 2 years, and the cap hit's going to be a little bit above $3.5 million. So Greenway and Buffalo apparently feeling this is a mutually beneficial relationship, and Greenway will not be leaving the Buffalo Sabres before the deadline. Buffalo will be busy before the deadline, I would think. But it is going to be interesting to see how this works, since apparently they don't want draft picks and young players as much as they want, prospects. They want players who are NHL ready / already playing at the NHL level, and they want to make hockey trades, which is probably where other GMs' eyes just gloss over, because these days that's not really done very often. So probably have to call them back. Probably be like, so what do you guys want to do a hockey trade? We've got a capologist. I can look at somebody. We haven't done a hockey trade in years. Anyway, Greenway's going to be sticking with Buffalo. Matthew Olivier has had quite the season for Columbus. He's putting up career highs offensively, and he's getting paid for it. Columbus signing him to a 6-year extension, the cap hit being $3 million per season. And I know people are going to say that seems high for Olivier. Contracts are going to go up in value. There's going to be some sticker shock this summer with the amount of money these guys get paid with the salary cap going up, which it should be doing for the next few years. And so, yeah, some role players are going to get paid really, really well. And with the season Olivier's had playing with Columbus, I totally understand them wanting to keep him around, him wanting the security, and he gets that with the 6-year extension. So let me know your thoughts on that contract in the comment section below. Almost said contract section below. All right, 5 games tonight in the National Hockey League. Let us discuss. The first 2 games start at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. We've got one 2.5 hours later, and then we've got 2 games starting at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. So it'll be an interesting night. Washington's in New York against the Rangers to start things off at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. This one should be awesome. Washington 39-14-8 overall. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10. They have not been as sharp as they were prior to this recent slump. The New York Rangers, they're 7-3 in their last 10. They're 31-26-4, and with the win, they'd move 2 points ahead of Detroit in that race for the final playoff spot in the East. So for the Rangers, there's a lot to play for, and the Capitals usually don't like the Rangers, and vice versa also being true, should lead to an entertaining game. Also at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, Ottawa in Chicago against the Hawks. Do not take the Hawks lightly. Right now, the Hawks are having fun. You can see this team's having fun playing together. Ottawa 30-25-5 overall. They're 4-5-1 over their last 10 games. They gave Washington a really good game the last time out. We'll see how they do in Chicago. The Blackhawks 19-35-7 overall. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10 games, and I'll just say it. Hawks are playing well right now. So that should be an interesting game. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. The Toronto Maple Leafs coming off of a shootout loss against San Jose in Vegas against a Vegas team that hasn't looked a lot like Vegas recently. So Toronto 38-20-3 overall. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. The Vegas Golden Knights 36-18-6 overall. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10 games. They're coming off of a shutout victory over New Jersey, where of course Keefe gets fined. But we'll see how Vegas does at home tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Vegas has struggled against the East, so this little run here against Eastern teams might help them out and get them ready for the playoffs and all that. But we'll see how things go. And of course, if you're an Oilers fan, you're cheering for the Leafs tonight. I know it's weird, but that's what you're doing. 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific start. Anaheim in Vancouver against the Canucks. Oh boy. Anaheim 27-26-7. They're 6-3-1 over their last 10. Vancouver 27-22-11 overall. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10. Anaheim's playing well, and they should have some confidence. Now they'll be on the second half of back-to-backs after playing in Edmonton last night, but yeah, they're playing well, and they're a team that doesn't have any pressure. Vancouver, on the other hand, so much pressure locally, and I talked about Vancouver yesterday. I'm glad that people appreciated the video. And for people like, you didn't trash talk Pettersson enough, because everybody else is everybody everywhere is trashing Pettersson. The point of my video yesterday was to point out, hey, there are holes in the rest of the roster. Can we just talk about somebody else? So then when the conversation in the comments is just Pettersson, I'm like, yeah, it's a syndrome at this point. It's an illness that the fan base collectively has, because there are other problems. There's other reasons they're 4-5-1 in their last 10. And if they lose against Anaheim tonight, I would expect everybody to have a very normal, rational reaction to that. 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific start. St. Louis in LA against the Kings. LA is going to be very glad to be home. St. Louis 29-27-8 overall. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10. They're playing well. So if you're a Blues fan, you're also cheering for the Ducks. Even though the Ducks are trying to chase down the Canucks for that final play, chase down the Flames for the final playoff spot. The Canucks are now 2 points behind Calgary. LA 31-20-8 overall, 5-3-2 in their last 10, and again, pretty glad, I would think, to be home after a rough road trip. So we'll see if they can just flip that switch back on. They've been able to do it this season. They come home after having a rough couple of games on the road, and then they play great at home. So we'll see how things work against St. Louis. Let me know your picks for tonight's games in the comment section below, as well as your thoughts on any of the items on the board. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.